In this video, we're going to cover adjustment layers in Photoshop. They are a simple tool to control the overall appearance of your image. To find the adjustment layers, go to the Adjustments panel. You may have to find it depending on how your workspace is set up. These changes are non-destructive, so it can be edited or modified until you flatten your image. We're going to start with levels, which is a great place to start for any tonal changes you would like to make. We have a histogram here that is showing you your overall range of tones in the image. Let's start by setting the white point. Now I can do this and change the white point, but what's easier is if I hold down Option on a Mac or Alt on a PC, I can get a clipping view. Now this is showing me where my blown out highlights are. So I'm holding the mouse and I'm holding the Alt or Option key to get that effect. In this file, my sky is already blown out, meaning it already has white values without any information. So I won't be able to change my white point very much. Now I'm going to set my black point using the same technique. I am just trying to find the point where I can have shadows that don't have any detail. The gray slider is your midtone, so let's brighten up this overall image. All right, that looks pretty good. Let's go to our next adjustment, which will be fixing the color as it looks a little washed out. I'd like to do that with a vibrance layer. Now, vibrance and saturation, as you remember in Lightroom, are different yet similar. If I just increase the saturation on this picture, her skin tones become an awful shade of orange. Now, since I don't like that, I have the ability to reset those adjustments right here to the defaults. So instead, let's play with the vibrance. The vibrance is much better for skin tones. It increases the saturation of colors in the image, but not to the extent that saturation does. We'll add a little bit of saturation. Now, if I would like to see what this effect has been on the image, I can hover down here to the eyeball and it will show me the before and after. As you can see in my layers panel, it's turning on and off the eye for that layer. I can also do it down here, but it's handy to have it in the properties panel. We're going to selectively control the colors using a hue and saturation layer. Now with this, you can alter the overall tones, but what I like to do in this particular layer adjustment is to colorize. So if I click the box that says colorize, I can go up here to custom, and it's going to show me like a hand-tinted view of what I can do. So sepia tone is something you would see in an actual photograph, and that looks pretty nice. Now I'm going to turn that off so that we can move on without having this style affect the rest of the picture. The next one we're going to do is a color balance adjustment. Now this is going to adjust the overall warmth and coolness of the picture, changing your red and cyan, but you can see it's a global and overall adjustment. So usually I would be using the blue and the yellow, and that's just going to warm up and cool down my picture. For color balance, you'll be working in the midtones. Another fun adjustment is to use a black and white adjustment layer, and this is going to mimic filters that you would use in black and white photography. So there's a bunch of options here. Like if we put on a red filter, it's as if you put a red filter on the front of your lens. A fun one is the color lookup table adjustments. These are mimicking film, actually, so movie type film. And if you look here, there's default settings built in. Crisp, warm will give you an overall warm tone. Fall colors. You have soft warming. So all sorts of different options. Moonlight. Now that looks pretty dark, and something I haven't shown you yet is you have the ability to change the amount, the opacity of this on your image. So here, let's just slide this down a little bit. And so now we have the moonlight effect, but we can still see the picture. Another thing you can do in here is abstract. And this is kind of fun. We have blacklight poster. So a cool way to do it. And again, you can change the opacity. Invert is a pretty limited but interesting, and it turns your image into a negative. And lastly, I want to show you the gradient map. And this one is putting an all over gradient on your image. If we choose this rainbow, it's giving you this kind of fun, funky rainbow effect. We can reverse it. So right now it's from red to purple. If we reverse it, it goes from purple to red. And again, if we go down here to opacity, we can also change the effect of that on the picture. Now, as I said, all of these are non-destructive, and I can turn them on and off using the eyeballs. If you want to see how your picture looks without any of them, so sort of a before and after, if I hold down Option on a Mac and Alt on a PC on the background layer, I can turn off the changes that I've made. And I think I will turn off all of these, and let's just go with the regular changes and not the funky ones. So that looks pretty good. Another thing is with these, I can delete them. I can just click on a layer and hit delete. I can also drag the layer to the trash can. Let's say I wanted to change my color balance. If I click on the layer, I can go back in and I can make changes to it. Same with any of the other layers. So instead of a red filter, we want infrared. So I just did that by clicking on it, and it pulled up the properties panel again, and you can move things around. So totally editable after the fact. There's another way to delete, and that would be right in the properties panel. So another thing you can do is, let's say I like a certain layer that I've done. So let's choose a photo filter, which are going to be filters you would use for color photography. And if you go through the list, here let's choose the cooling filter. And let's say I like that. I'm going to just drag that to another image I have loaded, drag it on, and now it has applied that same change to this image. Another one I'd like to show you on this is something called Posturize, and that makes it look like a poster image. And you can, again, adjust the opacity of that on here. Okay, well, there you have it. We have adjusted this image using adjustment layers. One more thing I'd like to show you is a fun little trick where you can mirror an image. Here I have this skyscraper from Chicago, and I would like to make something kind of fun out of it. So first I'd like to rotate the image. So image rotation, counterclockwise. Then I'm going to select all. I'm going to use Command A. I'm going to copy, so Command C, and then I'm going to change my canvas size. Image, canvas size. I'd like to double the width, so I'm going to take my 5 inches and turn it into 10. And I'd like that canvas to be over here, so that's why I had to move that little dot. Say OK. Now I have that canvas. I'm going to paste my copied image, Command V, move it into position, and then go to Edit, Transform, and I'm going to flip horizontal. Ta-da! Fun little trick to mirror an image.